terminology that they are adopting, I suppose this would serve the purpose in a much better way. Thank you very much.
Pursuing under the guidance of PC Cambodia exams held by the University of Rajasthan, Jaipur, having been selected for pre-PhD classes for a period of 6 months that started in January 2014, and I was selected as a research scholar under guidance of PC Cambodia sir in August 2014. This research focuses on the changing women'scapes in recent Indian short stories. This research intends to include the role of women in modern short stories written by female Indian writers. Short stories, they act as a mirror to society, which create images and generate valid questions. Short story is a brief work of literature written in narrative prose. It's a brief work of prose fiction. Short story in India is the result of new awakening of Indian minds affected by the Western art and literature. The plight of women and the cause of their for their emancipation is the chief concern and motive of short stories. This study will make other enlightened findings on the untouched aspects of the ways of short stories like Geeta Hariharan, Shashi Deshpande, Anita Desai, Nargis Dalal, Geeta Mehta. Female writers, they have taken the role to influence and restructure society. They have changed their attitude to gender-based issues. Male writers like Khushwant Singh, R.K. Narayan, Vikram Seth, U.R. Anand Murthy write many short stories related with women. This research studies the wider context of feminism with reference to works of these female writers, and this study will prove valuable for researchers who want to make further studies on short stories written by Indian writers. And this study will also make commendable contribution to the study of position of women in Indian short stories. The study will make other enlightened findings on the untouched aspects of the ways of short story writers. Efforts would be made to establish a relation and relevance in the short stories of Geeta Mehta, Jayashree Mishra, Anita Desai, Shashi Deshpande. Comparisons would be made to check how far their literature through stories is successful to stop malpractices in our society like checking rapes, women victimization, prevention of dowry, safety of women, and lastly character development. Indian short story, they sticks to the traditional roots of the craft. It revolves around one or at the most 2 or 3 characters, and short story does not have a long list of dramatic persona. Short stories, they are limited in time and space and does not span decades and spread out in different roles. It has a well-formulated central theme and does not touch upon several topics or clashes of personality. Anita Desai, the short story is vibrant in India. Anita Desai is one of the finest Indian women writers in English. She speaks about women frustration and reaction in her stories, and her famous short stories are Pineapple Cake, Private Tuition, Scholar Gypsy, etc. All her short stories, they revolve around the semiotic circle of CCV. CCV, it means Crisis of Conscience and Values. Shashi Deshpande also deals with every issue concerned with the women's movement for liberation. She emerges as the staunch exponent of women empowerment in her novels and short stories. She has feelings of empathy for the women who have forsaken domesticity and married and assert their identity. She is the only contemporary writer who has given graphic details about girl child and her psychology. Most of her women characters, they are able to transcend their identity by analyzing their childhood and the process of their upbringing. She has written many short stories like The Intrusion, in the country of DC. Similarly, Poonam Srivastav, T Junction is a motivational book that delves into the deeper core of personality traits of the profile heroes which benefits us. These stories will inspire the younger generation to help build a better world and glorious future for all of us. Geeta Mehta makes an indigenous study of Indian culture, customs, tradition and her story.
If anybody would like to ask any question or any suggestion, her topic is changing women's skates in short stories. So she is trying to mark out a difference between male stories and female stories. Thank you. Now, the next candidate I would like to invite, they are my students. I am Dr. Veena Jain, and the first student I would like to invite is Neha Singh. Neha?
Good morning, one and all. Respected convener sir, esteemed faculty members and my supervisor, Veena ma'am, a very good morning. Before I begin, I would like to thank all the faculty members for giving me an opportunity to present here a paper on the progress of my topic. The topic that I have chosen is teleological effect in the selected fairy tales of Grimm brothers. Fairy tales, a word that leads us to a new world of imagination, a sequence of events where fight between good and bad reflect human psyche. Fairy has its roots in the word fatum. The word fatum in Latin means fate. Fairy tales are told orally and have been transformed from one generation to generation. Depending on various countries and various cultures, they have gained a great transformation change. Since vocally they are communicating, and the essence is that they are basically allegorical. That is, they symbolize each and everything. The various changes that have come across them are the structural changes, the archetypal changes and various other changes depending on the situation. Likewise, we have feminine culture, lesbianism, all these things are sequentially, deliberately are told in fairy tales. Teleology, a word that has been given by Aristotle. Although it was first coined in the year 1728 by Christian Wolff, but in innovative way, the word has been given by Aristotle. In Aristotle's words, teleology means a natural cause and relationship and their effect. In his words, it means the light of humans, their environment and their changing situations. It also emphasizes the fact that there is a divine power that controls the world and which is known as God. The difference that he told was it was internally and externally. He says in internal teleology, we find solace to oneself. Whereas in external teleology, the thing that was conveyed by my colleague, Anil sir, was Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam. In simple words, it is the external teleology told by Aristotle. That when you help others, you feel happy. That is the external teleological factor. Fairy tales, they represent human values and they also inculcate spirituality. Spirituality, one another factor that is also leading to the teleological effect and each and every aspect of human life. The concept of Freud's id, ego and superego, also known as psychoanalytic thought, and the work done by Carl Jung and von Franz has also told that the unconsciousness of human being is also represented in universal scale in fairy tales. Bethlehem, a famous critic, has explained that fairy tales revolve around the elements of human persona, as mentioned already, id, ego and superego. A simple man who struggles with his own desires and loses each and everything, even his near and dear ones, but in the concluding end, he gains everything. He ends up all the meal. Flack has described these effects on the basis of dream analysis, which was also given by Freud, and Rorschach's ink blot test, problem-solving techniques, and the association transforms human individual from various stages, from childhood to adolescence, and have a great impact on each and every effect, each and every stage of human life. If we characterize the supernatural elements and their effect, we find two things, the animate things and the inanimate objects. The animate persons like Jinn in Aladdin is helping the person individual, whereas the shoe, an inanimate object in Cinderella, also focuses on the plot development of the story. Optimism, hope, prosperity, these are also the chief concern of tales, and they contextualize the human nature and their deeds done in present, past and future. Basically what we gain from fairy tales is that what we do is what we get. If we do good, we get good. If we do bad, we get bad. That is all is about optimism and teleology. Apart from morality and the good things that I have already mentioned, horror is also another element in these fairy tales. We have seen the setting of forest, magical powers, ghosts, devils, all these things in the fairy tales. Alexander Dumas in this regard has said, happiness is like those palaces in fairy tales whose gates are guarded by dragons. We must fight in order to conquer it. That is what teleology says. We get good things in this world, we get bad things in the world. It depends on us, what we choose, how we follow and what we get. The fairy tales raise a voice of inner conflicts among individuals, especially children. And this intellectual and spiritual development, and this hopes for a better future and a very happy ending. Even in fairy tales, we find that the conflicts are resolved and all the feelings and all the conflicts are cope up, and these motivate children and they polarize their views towards good, and therefore the children start neglecting the bad things. To conclude, I would just say, Bethlehem is rightly remarked, fairy tales are life divined from the inside. Thank you. Any questions? I would like to say why I chose this topic. Since my childhood, I have read novels of Enid Blyton, and I have had a great fantasy towards them and towards children literature. And when I was asked to choose a topic on my on my thesis, I was a bit confused to choose among Enid Blyton, Ruskin Bond and fairy tales, as I have an attachment towards the three. Therefore, and when I read and go through the depth, I found fairy tales more interesting. And the fact that motivated me was, when I had gone through, I found that fairy tales didn't have a good ending in the beginning. They were horrified stories. And these stories have been changed by Grimm brothers, who belong to Germany, and they have the credit for a published version of fairy tales. Before that, what we have is orally communicating tales. But after that, we knew we had a particular edition of that, and that fact really shocked me that how a fairy tale can have a horror ending. Therefore, I chose fairy tales.
Anybody would like any suggestion, any question? It's a very common topic, fairy tales, Grimm's fairy tales. And she was interested towards it, so she chose the topic. Anybody who would like to ask any question? Yes, sir? Vedwan, sir, you would like to ask? It's okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Next participant is Kajal Sharma. She's also my student.
It is so nice to be here again in the college as a scholar. Earlier I was a student here, I did my PG from here with all those teachers, and it's so nice to see them all along besides me. My name is Kajal Sharma and I'm doing my PhD on the topic From Conflict to Transculturation, Generies and Relanding. I was just sitting beside and I was just thought about a poem to start off. So I can quote, life is a self with no real self. Human searches out for self and gathers otherness. Conflict arises there then, leading to more conflict and agitation. Enlightenment brightens up, giving wider self. and a way to transculturation. Pessimism to optimism. Conflict to transculturation is the topic that I chose. The very reason that I chose this topic was the thing that in contemporary life, in modernity, multiculturalism plays a very wider concept. Even there was a conference in Delhi in the British Council about multiculturalism, and there people talked about the concept in detail. People were strictly confused whether to talk in a pessimistic sense or in an optimistic sense. So what I took as a topic was a merger of two. Jean Rhys, a writer who writes about otherness, idea of self, alienation, female position in society, competition with the man, and of her own soul. So Jean Rhys and Lee Langley. Lee Langley is a British writer, lives in Richmond, and she is a living personality. She is a writer who talks more about optimism. She says when you are going to another country or you're meeting several variety of people, need not necessary that you need to take the pessimistic qualities from them. You have the optimistic qualities there, then to merge it up. So the merging of a thing, conflict giving way to optimism in a person, giving way to a society which is a merger of two. Transculturation is a word that I have taken up in my topic. Transculturation is a word coined by Fernando Ortiz, and he says a wider concept in society prevails on the fact that when you do something new or innovative thing, the outcome of that source should be positive. I took up the writers and their works. Jean Rhys' works, Wild Sargasso Sea. A lady who tries and do competition with her own self, with the family, with the husband, with the society, with the class, with the gender, automatically in the end comes out committing suicide. And we inculcate the concept that yes, the writer was in a variety, giving way to pessimism. How come this should be the thing? My study is an approach that in the end, when I complete the thesis, my PhD, the enlightenment that me myself should get, other than writing it in part in the book, is that pessimism should not be the cult of the society, in our family, in the country, in the world, in the universe, in the planet. Everywhere should prevail optimistic qualities. Other than that, Jean Rhys places herself as a writer whose themes includes ruthlessness, self-alienation, neurosis, like my friend Neha talked about the psychoanalytic theory of Freud and Jung. The very thing is there in my theory too, because I've been very much fascinated with this concept of psychology. Psychoanalysis, how come she is not very much at par with a man? So that is the thing that I have taken up as a topic in my study. From conflict to transculturation, Jean Rhys and Lee Langley. And it is nice to be a part of the seminar. It's nice to see all my teachers back again. Thank you.
It's a very, very contemporary topic, recent one, globalization, transculturation that we have all been talking about. globalization and transculturation, will it help the society in any way? I mean, does it help globalization and transculturation?
We are in a contemporary society wherein people talk about globalization. Is Earth a small thing? Yes, it is a small thing. Because people are connected together. There are various medium about it. Different diverse countries do join up to form a single culture. Why is it so that in foreign countries people are dying to learn the native language of India, Hindi I'm talking about? Because they want that mingling of culture, that is the thing, multiculturalism. Transculturation gives way to multiculturalism. Different variety of culture. It is the same that if a person is asked, do you want to be multitasking? Yes. Do you want to have multiculturalism in yourself? Yes. Are you global?
India itself is not.
India is itself a global, a multicultural country now. People are favored in the other parts of India.